Hello, thanks for joining today's webinar. You can enlarge your screen for the optimal viewing experience using these buttons. You can also click the arrow here to view the hidden menu. The section at the very bottom will twirl out a menu that allows you to ask questions for the host to answer. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany and with me today is Christina and we are the product managers of TaxBandits. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today.
Now, as a reminder, we are so excited to talk about tax forms and information returns, and we have years and years of experience, but we are not tax advisors. So if you have specific scenarios, specific questions, as always, we recommend that you contact the IRS or a certified tax preparer directly.
And today we're going to be talking about building your 1099 and W-2 strategy since it is January. And we're going to give you some updates, some requirements, and some FAQs.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I would love to dive into what's kind of an update, if that works for you. We just really want to make sure that everybody is still aware. I know for a lot of companies, you're looking at this one time a year, and as the IRS makes changes, sometimes it's hard to be like, oh, is that, what did they do? What did they do last year?
Where do I fall in that?
Yeah. So we just want to do a quick reminder that really, as far as updates, as we know, the IRS had updated the threshold for the number of information returns that could be e-filed. It used to be 250. It used to be per different form type. So you'd have that many W-2s and that many 1099s and that many ACA forms and so on. And as we know, in January 2023, they sharply limited the number of returns that could actually be e-filed when it comes to the information returns. They went down to 10 forms, 10 paper copies can be filed. And with that, that is...
Cumulative.
Yes, thank you. Cumulative. So that is your 1099s, W-2s, ACA, so on, all together. So you could have 8 W-2s and 9 1099s, and really that means that you meet the e-file requirement, right? So we want to make sure that everyone is still aware of that hasn't gone away, if they haven't taken it back. It is an ongoing reduction, so making sure that you are acknowledging that now, that you're still handling e-filing, or that if you have not yet, that you make that change, because as we continue on, the IRS, we've seen a trend over different series, different form types, different industry types that file, nonprofits in their 990 series, for example. The IRS is really moving away from paper filing. They're really transitioning to e-file requirements.
Yes.
So just keeping that in mind as we go into January and really February, March, and April too for the filing season of the year. Another quick just reminder, as far as the 2024 filing season, really it's the same deadlines that we look at every year, but if you're newer to this, or if it's just a thing you handle once a year and then you don't think about it, we want to have a refresher of what forms is it, what are we looking at, what's needed. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about key deadlines for the 2024 tax year?
Definitely. And so as the year concludes, organizations face added pressure to submit critical payroll and employment filings to the IRS and SSA by January 31st of 2025. So this is going to include your 941 for the fourth quarter for 2024.
Yep.
Your 940, your W-2, and your 1099 NEC, and many more, actually.
Because that's really, for the NEC, it's like the e-file requirement and the recipient copy delivery for that and the W-2. But there are also a lot of 1099s, as we know, that have to be distributed even though they don't necessarily have to be filed on that date. Now, as a reminder, this is just based off of the forms that TaxBandits supports, so there's definitely, there's always the possibility that you could have additional forms at the federal, state, or local level, but for the ones that we help with, we do have a list of which forms you need to focus on for the recipient copy January 31st deadline, even though they might not have an e-file deadline of January 31st.
Exactly. And so some of those are going to be the miscellaneous. If you didn't put any data in box 8 or 10, the INT, the DIV, the R, the K, the G, the OID, the Q, and the PATR and LTC. Whew.
If you didn't catch all of those, we have a full list of the supported 1099s, including those forms and others on our website, TaxBandits.com. But definitely a lot to keep in mind, really.
Definitely.
I mean, January 31st is the big deadline.
Yeah, you don't want to wait till the last minute to get those in.
No, we're here year round. We're here on the deadline, but the sooner that you can get ready, the better. And I just wanted to throw in, I know we're talking about year end, but again, it'll be here before you know it, the ACA deadlines.
Oh,
So
definitely.
I
Those
feel
are
like
something that folks forget about.
because they're a little bit newer in the grand scheme of, like, I know they've been around for a while now, but not compared to like W-2s, which have been around for what seems like forever, right?
Yes.
And they sort of come right after the January 31st deadlines.
They do.
And so I feel like going ahead and keeping them in mind now. I know a lot of companies like to send them out with their W-2s. So just so everyone's aware, ACA, that's your 1094, 1095 forms.
Yep.
We help with the B series and the C series, and those forms are due to be e-filed by March 31st. But the reason we want to talk about it a little bit right now is the recipient copy deadline for those forms is March 3rd. So, but, you get done with the January 31st deadline, and then you really just have a month to get ready for that. And so if it's something that you wanted to do at the same time or something that you kind of needed to do tandemly, we also support those, and we're happy to help.
Definitely.
All right. So we've talked about latest updates. It's really just making sure you're meeting the filing requirements, keeping, if you haven't already created your account, make sure that you go ahead and do that now, because we'll also keep you updated as more information comes out from the IRS, from the SSA. We send out updates to our clients.
Yes.
We have a great blog and a knowledge base that details more information on all those different requirements and things.
We have a lot of videos on our YouTube link as well that give tutorials on how to use almost everything in TaxBandits
Even
as well.
filing the forms, like even
Yeah.
how those steps work to make sure
Definitely.
you get everything completed on time. Do you want to touch on just quickly like a few key features that they want to go ahead and get ready so that they know they're good to file?
Oh, sure. So I always start with Bandit Collab, which is where you get your team members in there if you've got staff members that help you do the filing. So once you've gotten your team members in, you can go to your address book, upload your payers and your recipients. You can do your TIN matching while you're in your address book, and you can get all of that done at one time. Once you've done that, you can work on your Bandit Connect and get that set up. It's just a really good tool to have, along with getting the rest of your data into TaxBandits. And so once you're done with that, you can really just get started on filing.
Excellent. I think that sounds great, and that really is the focus right now. Is if you haven't already, I know we said this every time, but it's so true. If you haven't already, go ahead and get those things done, and then really just following the steps. It's really intuitive to go through the filing process. We'll go ahead and plug in here. I know the 1099 NEC is probably the most common form
it's a real big
that we
one.
hear about, and we'll talk about more of the other FAQs, but one of the biggest FAQs that we hear about is just how do I file? Like, how does it work? So we'll go ahead and plug in the 1099 NEC bulk upload video, but we do have other options, other forms, so feel free to reach out if you have more questions.
So from your dashboard, you're going to click Start New Form. And the same process will apply for all 1099s that we have the bulk upload option for. So for today, we'll just choose the NEC. And here at the top of the screen, you can see the options we have available: manual entry, bulk import, or importing from accounting software. For this video, we'll click bulk import. You can import recipient data or payer and recipient data. For recipient data, we're going to start by entering the payer data. We can either select it from the address book if it's already in our account, or add a new one. Now that it's added, we have 3 bulk upload options. Using our CSV template, which you can download, fill out, and then re-upload. Uploading your own file, either importing from Google Drive or dragging and dropping a CSV file here if you have your own spreadsheet, or copy and pasting data directly from your own existing file. I'm going to start by showing you the TaxBandits template. So we'll download it and open it up. And now we'll need to go through and fill out all of this information all the way down for all of the recipients. So we'll start with our type of TIN, TIN number, the recipient name, and then their address information. Then we recommend adding their email address so that you can easily share recipient copies via our online access portal. You can add their phone number, account number, and more. Then add their actual form information down here, including non-employee compensation, if you made direct sales of $5,000 or more for consumer goods or products, any federal income tax withheld, any state income tax withheld, the state number, and state income. When you're finished with all of that, we're going to re-download this as a CSV. Go back to TaxBandits and upload the new file here. Drag and drop, and continue. From there, you'll be able to preview each of the forms that you have created and continue to process. Now, if there are any errors, you can fix those errors, clicking Fix Error. Once all errors are fixed, you can continue filing. And then from here, you'll just continue filing as normal. For more information about that, you can view all the 1099 tutorials in our YouTube channel. For now, I'm going to go back and show you how to bulk upload from your own file. So here, if you want to import from a Google Drive file, for example, you would hit select and log into your Google account and then find that file. Over here, you can just drag and drop any CSV that you have that has the appropriate information and carry through with that fixing errors process I just showed. Finally, I'm going to show you the copy and paste data option. So we'll select that and click continue. Then you have this field in which you can copy and paste all your information. So I'm going to go back, find all of my information, paste everything into this box, and click continue to preview. Now, depending on how your file is set up that you're copying from, you'll need to possibly map some columns depending on how things are labeled. You can see here a number of things have been labeled correctly, and so they've just pulled in and dropped in. Anywhere you're missing information or you want to map something, for instance here in the tin, go through here, locate the column. So my tin is in column 3. And now it's mapped. So complete that for all of these things. Once you have everything mapped, you'll continue to preview. Once everything's mapped and you save and continue, you can save this mapping format as a template, so the next time you don't have to go through this whole step. You can rename that template and allow team members to use this template if you wish, and click save and continue. Now you can again preview the forms and click continue to process. And from there, you'll just need to complete the same steps of fixing any errors that are found and continuing on with filing the forms.
Okay, so we went through the 1099 NEC. I would love to talk about like a couple of the FAQs, and maybe we can just go through some of those to make sure that everyone has almost like a leg up on the filing season, right? Because if we answer those now, you don't have to ask them later.
Exactly.
So if we are just thinking about, you look at it once a year, and it could even be something that you're new to. Obviously, the NEC is one of the most common. It's good just to be aware that most of our forms follow a very similar filing process.
Yes.
So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have all of these forms that have a January 31st deadline, like yes, but once you have the process down with us for one, it's really, really consistent with W-2s. And really we're just having you pick your business and your year, you add your form data, you review it, and you file. And that really is all that there is to it. We're here to help. We have everything built in to make it easier. We've got the tools and the features and the validations, but at its core, you're adding your info, you're reviewing it, you're filing, and that's all there is to it. Another FAQ that we get is, do you have support available?
It's a big one.
It is. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like what support options there are, and just kind of letting them know how to reach us as they have questions?
Oh, absolutely. We do have a full live support team here available that you can call into, and you can also email us at support@taxbandits.com. We also have a live chat team. We don't use bots. So we're there as well. You can chat in.
Monday through Friday year round, so it's not like you're going to file with us in January and then have a question in March that we can't answer. We're here for you.
No, we're not going to leave you in February.
No. We'll also post you mentioned the phone number and the email, so we'll put those at the end of the video. So just stay tuned and you'll see those too. Is there an FAQ that I don't know if it's your favorite or if it's like just the one that you hear the most or one that you want to throw in?
Because it is a new feature or a newer feature, I think a lot of people have been asking a lot about Bandit Connect. Like, what is it?
Definitely.
What does it do? How can I use it?
So great question. And honestly, I think this is maybe one of my favorite features because it's so useful and it's so malleable. Like you can make it really work to what you need for your clients. It is more of a like tax preparer tool. So if you're a CPA or a reporting agent or somebody that's filing forms on behalf of other businesses, that's really the intended like use case of this feature. But Bandit Connect is where so you've got your TaxBandits account created, you've got your team added and your clients added, and let's say for 1099s and W-2s, for example, I know an FAQ that we get is how can I securely share these forms with my client for them to review them before I file?
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be your process. We don't require that it be. I just know that for a lot of the preparers that we work with, they like to give their clients a chance to sign off on the forms before they file. It helps make sure that the data is accurate. It helps with communication. There's just a lot of benefits to it.
Yes.
So what we do is you'll have draft copies, which is also its own separate FAQ, right? Is you'll have draft copies of the forms that are available to you. So after you've either manually added or bulk uploaded or used one of our integrations, whatever awesome option you chose to get your data in, the forms are created in your account. They're digital copies, so you can go in and see them, your staff can. But with Bandit Connect, you have a brandable portal, which means that if I was Christina CPA, instead of having the TaxBandits colors and logo and information show up on what my clients saw, if I was a CPA, I could put my own logo and my own colors and my contact info or whatever is needed on my own portal that's through TaxBandits. So if Tiffany is my client as a CPA, she can sign in and she sees Christina's CPA information, not TaxBandits, but I can share the draft forms with her through that portal, and it just happens automatically. You check a little box in TaxBandits that says I want to share the forms, and then she can sign in and see them when you give her access to that portal. But your client is only seeing their information. So they're not going to see your whole account. They're not going to see other clients. They'll just see what you've given them access to. But it's a great way to share those forms. And there's a communication tool there. So you don't have to worry about like, okay, well, did they email me or did they call me or did they text me or did they fax me? Like, who knows? Was it an in-person meeting? Who knows? They can give you confirmation right in that portal. And so you have a record of everything all in one place. Mm-hmm. It's also a great way to share finalized payer copies.
Yes.
I know I'm really going off about it, but I told you it's one of my favorite features.
And it's such a big feature.
It is. It does so much, and especially the branding portion of it, you can really make it your own. But in addition to being able to communicate, being able to share draft copies, if you need the client to send you files, they can send you files through the portal. Yes. You can send them files. It has the same level of security as your TaxBandits account. It does. Which obviously, we've talked about that in other webinars, but we are SOC 2 certified. We have a whole list of different security measures in place, including one-time access codes and multi-factor authentication. Yes. And all kinds of things.
Yeah, we have the multi-factor authentication in every section.
From every way to
members,
access.
The recipients, all of it.
So with that in mind, you also have the option to share, like I said, those payer copies that are finalized. So if TaxBandits, we're handling federal filing forms for like 1099s, W-2s, 1095s. We also handle the state filing. We handle distribution. So we'll print and mail, but we are printing and mailing the recipient's copies to the recipient, like to the actual vendor who the form was filed for. Yep. The same thing with our Bandit share.
Yes.
That is going to the recipient or the vendor. It's going to that end 1099 receiver, not the payer.
Correct.
So Bandit Connect gives you a way to fill that other need, which is your client needs a copy.
Yes.
And do you want to have to download it and print it and give it to them, or download it and nobody wants to email form. Like it's extra work. It's not as secure. You can just click a button and they'll be shared through that portal, and then having your client know that that's where they go to get and share and ask about 1099 W-2 information. So I know that that was a big answer, but I feel like we covered a lot of really good to know things about the Bandit Connect portal. Is there another FAQ that you'd like to tell us about?
Another one we get is, can they download, or can our clients download a W-3 or a 1096 from their account?
Absolutely. And I know I said the Bandit Connect was my favorite question, but I also really like that question because there's so much confusion about it. I know with paper filing, like the 1096, the W-3, they were needed, but with e-filing, they're not required when you e-file. Like, you don't have to create and send those to the IRS.
And that is a big question we get every year. Like,
it is.
So many.
I think I've gotten the question of, okay, well, if it's not required when I e-file, do I still have to mail it? And like, if you're e-filing 1099s and W-2s, the IRS does not require the W-2 or the W-3 or the 1096. If you're e-filing W-2s and 1099s, they're not requiring e-filing of the W-3,
we don't want
1096. Exactly. But because it is such a kind of a staple, like a lot of companies want to have it for record keeping, they want to have it for review purposes, we automatically generate it in your account based off of the forms that you've created or uploaded or what have you. So it's less data entry for you. It's just automatically happening and it's there. And that can also be shared through the Bandit Connect portal. But they are there. So, all right, you know what? I know we get questions about this really like through the fall and the winter months. Can you tell us a little bit about the W-9? And also, I feel like tin matching kind of goes hand in hand with that. I know we get questions about both. So do you kind of just want to run through like what they are, what they're for, why they're helpful?
Definitely. You're right. The tin matching and the W-9, they do kind of go hand in hand. And there is a couple of different ways to go about doing it. We do have the W-9 Manager, which is a great little tool that we have. And it doesn't seem like much because you send it to your vendor. It's real easy. You just put in the email address and the name, and it goes on its way. And when they do it, it just comes right back to you, and it automatically will upload into your address book. And it'll also automatically do the TIN matching. So it matches the TIN information with the name and, well, the information they put in with the IRS database. And it'll let you know once it's checked, it'll let you know whether it's been, correct or not. And then you have the option to reject or accept the information. So with TIN matching, also, the other way you can do it is directly from your address book. So once you've got the information in your address book, you've got it there, you just go in there and click Enable TIN matching. You can select the entire recipient list that you want, and then it'll send it over for TIN matching. Once the IRS database lets our system know that it's been matched, you can accept or reject it.
So if you reject it, like, what is that for anyone that hasn't used that feature before? Like, what does that look like?
So if you reject it and you're like, no, this information is crazy, it's definitely not right. Once you click reject, it'll notify the recipient, and they will have the option to update that information, whatever is wrong, whether it's the name or the TIN that doesn't match. And then once it's updated, it'll send it back to you again, and you have the option to accept or reject once the TIN has come back.
Got it. So I mean, really, really great features. And I think what we hear a lot around this time, if you have not already been using the W-9 Manager with TaxBandits, this is the perfect time to start, because you're going to have, whether it's for your business or for your clients, there are going to be new vendors for the 2025 year. And so going ahead and getting comfortable with that feature and planning to do that from January through the rest of the year puts a new, solid, secure process in place for you and for your clients. And then when it comes time to file the 2025 forms, you have all of that data already in your TaxBandits address book.
Exactly.
So a really good thing to go ahead and put in place now. And then, like you said, if you did not do the W-9s through TaxBandits this year, going and doing the TIN matching, outside of just the W-9 request is a good alternative to try to make sure that information's right even now.
Exactly. So another question we get a lot, especially as the deadline approaches, can we print and mail and give online access to our clients?
Yes, absolutely. So with TaxBandits, you can choose Bandit Complete, and a lot of companies are starting to do this. We've even seen it over the last couple of seasons where Bandit Complete is TaxBandits printing and mailing the recipients or the vendors their copies of the 1099, and that goes for the W-2 also. And that includes Bandit Share as well, and that's our service where we actually have a secure online portal where the recipient can go, they sign in, they complete a disclosure, and they access that form electronically. We all know that the IRS has special requirements if you're providing only an electronic copy, and with kind of the trend toward electronic things and electronic forms and e-filing deadlines and everything, a lot of companies are moving toward electronic delivery. So going ahead and starting to add that as an option while also printing and mailing to make sure that your actual requirement is met is something we've seen a lot. But you can kind of choose either or if you need one or the other, but we definitely can do both. And then obviously you're able to see the status of those things in your account with us. But I think that wraps us up for most of the FAQs. Like Tiffany mentioned, though, if you have more questions, you can add comments below, but you also can reach out to our support team, and we'll have the contact information for our support team shown on the video.
All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.